The year is 2010, and a live broadcast is underway. A child actor, mid-scene, steps directly onto Barney the dinosaur's tail. The man inside the suit, having had it up to here with children for the afternoon, turns towards the camera and lets loose a word so profane, so extraordinarily inappropriate for kids' TV, that it echoes across living rooms from coast to coast. That single incident marked the end of Barney and Friends, as the show was cancelled shortly thereafter. Or wait, was it the toe? No, a lot of people were confident it was the toe. Barney stubbed it on a prop, lost his balance, and that's when he let it fly. No, wait, it was a child dropping an actual brick on his foot. Or wait, no, actually, hold on. It was a suspicious little bag of white powder that fell out of Barney's tail during the broadcast. See, for some reason, no one can actually agree on what happened. But everyone seems to know that something happened live on the air, and that's the reason Barney got cancelled. So what's the real story then? Well, that's what we're here to figure out. Welcome to the Barney Desk. Okay guys, before I get into the mechanics of this, you need to understand just how far this rumor reaches. The story, or some mutated version of it, is everywhere, even still. You ask any millennial or Gen Zer about Barney dropping an F-bomb on live TV, and you'll get one of three answers. They saw it themselves, a sibling told them about it, or they're really unsure if it ever happened. There are the versions of the story I mentioned in the intro, but apparently there was even more. Some people were told that a glass bottle was thrown at a child. I don't think I'd ever heard that one before. But regardless of the version, the basic story stays the same. Barney lost it on live television, everybody saw it, and somehow that led to the show getting cancelled. So let's look at this thing properly. The main elephant in the room is that Barney and Friends was not live television. Like, not even close. It was a scripted, taped, heavily edited PBS children's program. Episodes took days to film and weeks to finish in post-production, and considering the show had a cast full of inexperienced young kid actors doing lines and blocking and dance routines, there would have obviously been a need for multiple takes. We even had a few leaked bloopers from the show proving that exact thing. Now, PBS has aired live programming before, and there have actually been a few Barney-related live events, like the 1993 Barney Family Marathon, which actually did get Barney and PBS into some hot water. I made a whole video on that if you want to check that out, but anyways, Barney and Friends itself was taped, edited, reviewed by multiple people, and then, and only then, did it air on TV. But okay, let's say something somehow slipped through the cracks. Let's grant the completely fictional premise that something chaotic happened on set, you know, full pandemonium, genuine disaster, something like that. Who will we actually be hearing swear? Because this is the part that dismantles the entire myth, right? Barney was played by two different people. A physical performer, mainly David Joyner, and a voice actor, mainly Bob West. Bob and his successors were in a soundproof recording booth, physically nowhere near the set. The person inside the Barney costume was never mic'd. The Barney suit was constructed with thick foam with internal structural supports and cooling fans designed to keep the performer from passing out. Anything said inside the suit stayed inside the suit. So let's say a kid really did step on Barney. David Joyner inside of the suit would feel at most a vague pressure. Mind you, he had these massively padded feet that were thick enough to absorb a moderate impact. So literally, if he said anything in that costume, you would not have been able to hear it. And it's not like Bob West was gonna say anything in his recording booth across the set. What would he be reacting to? Now let's say the kid did step on the tail itself as opposed to a foot. Well, that makes even less sense. There's nothing in the tail, mind you, and Barney's tail is quite a little weapon of its own. There are many clips where Barney whips around his tail and he hits something or knocks something over. That tail has caused more chaos than any hypothetical child could. Sorry guys, but the premise just can't physically happen. It doesn't add up. The drug thing too, that's also totally false. Check and mate, shout out Riff, good night everybody. Except, we're not done. Because there is a Barney drug scandal, just not the one you think. But before we get into that, if you enjoyed this video thus far, you should consider subscribing. I make a lot of videos on the forgotten history of the Barney franchise and brand, so if that sounds interesting, come and give us a subscribe before I come to your house and I swear at you. You son of a BJ. Back to the story. In the late 90s and early 2000s, law enforcement discovered multiple cases where traffickers used commonly produced Barney merchandise, mainly the plush dolls, to hide and move narcotics.
Who the fuck starts a conversation like that? I just sat down.
In one case, a drug-sniffing dog intercepted a package being shipped to Minnesota, and inside was a talking Barney doll stuffed with 2 pounds of suspicious white powder. In West Virginia, 4 family members pleaded guilty to federal charges after police found more white powder, along with prescription painkillers, hidden inside a Barney doll at their house. And then you got Rhode Island, where there was more than $2,000 in illicit cash stuffed inside a Barney doll hidden in an apartment. So, yes, there is a real Barney drug scandal, but it had absolutely nothing to do with the character nor anything that aired on television. But you see, when a story contains the words Barney drugs and white powder, little Timmy on the playground, he's not reading the full police report. By the time that story travels from a news clip to the school hallway, police found drugs in a Barney doll kind of becomes police found drugs in the Barney costume. You know, that's the game of telephone that helped build this myth. And let me tell you, it built it well. So that's all and good, but I'm sure you're wondering one main thing. The why. Why did this particular rumor spread so effectively? Why do adults today not just say, I heard about this, but say that they remember it happening? I think part of the answer is that Barney was this perfect target for this kind of playground mythology. Researchers who study child lore have a theory about this. In early adolescence, kids are desperate to create distance between themselves and their early childhood. Barney represents everything they're actively trying to leave behind. He's safe, he's gentle, he's purple, he's for babies, and spreading a dark, subversive rumor about Barney, that he was swearing or drinking or that the costume was full of white powder, that was social currency. The older sibling with the forbidden knowledge passing it down to the younger kids who gasped and believe it, who then passed that on to their friends. The details didn't need to stay consistent because the details were never the point. The point was feeling like, I know things now because I'm not a child anymore. I know about this thing that no one else knows about. That's why I think the rumor lasted so long. Not because it was believable when you actually look at the fact, but because it fit perfectly into the way people were talking about Barney. And that is where this connects to a much bigger conversation. Because this rumor is a part of a larger pattern of people taking Barney, this character made to be soft and sincere and harmless, and turning him into something much more violent, crude, or humiliating. But that is a much bigger topic, and it's one I'm working on for a full, humongous video, and that is where I need your help. I'm currently running a survey about Barney bashing, why people hated Barney, whether it was ever justified, how they look back on it now, and what that backlash actually says about the culture around the character. It's not too long, and I want as many different perspectives as possible. Even if you've never heard of this before, your response still helps. And if you knew anyone who grew up with Barney, hated Barney, loved Barney, or even just remembers people making fun of Barney, please send it to them too. The link is in the description and in the top right card, and your answers will help shape that upcoming video. Because as fake as this F-bomb rumor is, the fact that so many people believed it says something very real about the way people treated Barney. So no, Barney never swore on live television. The myth spread because kids kinda needed it to. Barney represented something they wanted to outgrow, and dragging him through the dirt was one way of proving they were ready to leave him behind. Which is kind of beautiful. In a sort of demented way, though. Let me know in the comments, did you believe this rumor growing up? And while you're there, you can also check out the link in the top right to join the Deskies, our little community here, where you get behind the scenes videos, early access, voting in polls, custom badges and emojis, and access to our Desk Dynasty Discord server. I'm always sharing rare Barney finds, video assets, and other stuff I don't publicly post on the channel. So it's a great way to support me if you like what I do here. As always, I've been the Barney Desk, and thanks for watching.